Have you ever wondered why in the journey of faith, we often face challenging trials and temptations? It's a question that many of us have asked ourselves. Today let's delve into the scripture from 1 Peter, specifically verses 6 and 7, to shed some light on this. In this part of the scripture we're reminded that we may find ourselves in seasons of heaviness, burdened by manifold temptations. But it's crucial to understand that these periods of testing are not a punishment but rather a refining process. Much like gold, our faith is refined and purified through these trials. Imagine a goldsmith heating the raw gold until it melts. As it heats up, impurities rise to the surface and can be skimmed off, leaving behind nothing but pure, gleaming gold. Our faith undergoes a similar process. When we face trials and temptations, our faith is tested and refined. The impurities of doubt and fear rise to the surface where they can be faced and dealt with, leaving behind a faith that is purer and stronger than before. But there's more to this process than just refining. These verses tell us that the trial of our faith is much more precious than that of gold. Why? Because gold, as valuable as it is, will eventually perish. But our faith, once tested and proven, holds an eternal value. And what is the ultimate purpose of these trials? They are meant to lead us to a place of praise, honor, and glory at the appearance of Jesus Christ. It's a difficult process, no doubt, but one that leads to a reward that is beyond measure. So the next time you find yourself in the midst of a trial, remember this. Just as the goldsmith uses fire to refine gold, so too are your trials a tool to refine your faith. Remember, just like gold is tested by fire, our faith too must undergo its trials. What does it mean to have a lively hope in the face of trials and tribulations? Imagine the darkest storm you've ever weathered. In the midst of that tempest, hope can feel like a tiny flame, flickering against the howling wind. Yet, 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 to 5, tells us we have more than a fragile spark. We have a living, vibrant hope, a hope that is alive and active. This hope springs from God's abundant mercy. In His infinite compassion, He gives us a new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. This is not a hope that is passive or frail. No, it is a hope that is brimming with life and vitality, a hope that is born of the miraculous victory of life over death. And this hope is not in vain. It points us towards an inheritance that is incorruptible, undefiled, and eternal. Unlike worldly riches that can tarnish or fade, this inheritance is imperishable and everlasting. It is reserved in heaven for us, untouched by decay or degradation. But how are we to receive this inheritance? How are we to hold on to this living hope in the face of life's trials and tribulations? Here's the beautiful reassurance. We are protected by God's power through faith for a salvation that will be revealed in the last days. God Himself guards us, shielding our faith as a precious treasure. It is not our strength that sustains us, but His. It is not our power that protects us, but His. And so, even when the storm rages, even when the trials come, we are not alone. We are held securely in the palm of His hand, guarded by His power, and given a hope that is not just a flickering flame, but a roaring fire, alive and eternal. In the midst of trials, we are not alone. We are guarded by God's power, and have a hope that is alive and eternal. Can we really rejoice in something we have not seen? This question brings us to a profound insight from the first letter of Peter, in the 8th and 9th verses. Peter talks about a love that transcends the physical. He speaks of a love for Jesus Christ, an entity we may not have seen, but whom we believe in with unshakable faith. This kind of belief, it's not an ordinary one, it's a belief that brims with joy. A joy so profound it's beyond the power of words to express. It's a joy that's not just a fleeting emotion, but one that is full of glory. It's a joy that comes from the deepest part of our soul, a joy that springs from a well of belief, of faith in the unseen. Yet this joy is not without its end. It culminates in the salvation of our souls. Imagine that. The end of our faith journey is the salvation of our very being. It's like reaching the peak of a mountain after a long and arduous climb. The view from the top, the sense of accomplishment, the peace that comes with it, it's all worth it. Believing in something unseen might seem like a leap into the unknown. But it's this leap that fills us with a joy that's unspeakable and full of glory, a joy that transcends the physical and elevates the spiritual. Our faith, even in the unseen, fills us with an indescribable and glorious joy. What does it mean to live a holy life in the face of trials? Let's delve into the scripture from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 13 through 16. Here we find a clear and compelling call to live a holy life. But what does this mean? It doesn't mean conforming to the desires of our former ignorance. It doesn't mean seeking to satisfy our own whims and wishes. Instead, it means being transformed by the very holiness of God. It means allowing the purity, the righteousness, the love, and the mercy of God to shape our thoughts, our words, our actions. This scripture invites us to be holy in all our conversations. This isn't just about the words we say, but also about the attitudes we carry, the relationships we build, and the ways we interact with the world around us. Here, conversation is a metaphor for our whole way of life. And why are we called to this holiness? Because God, who called us, is holy. Our call to holiness is a reflection of the character of God. It's a call to embody the divine attributes of love, justice, mercy, and compassion in our daily lives. So in the face of trials, we are not left to struggle alone. We are not left to our own devices. Instead, we are called to embrace a holy life, reflecting the holiness of our God.